Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining me again for another parent carer conversation. I'm really excited today to be joined by Jaclyn, and she is going to be sharing her life and her advice and words of wisdom. So we're going to jump straight in. Hi, Jaclyn. Can you tell us a little bit about your family setup, your life as a parent carer for you? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my daughter Aoife has global developmental delay, autism, severe intellectual developmental disorder, and is also nonverbal. She's also recently been diagnosed with an eating disorder, RFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. She's 9 now, and she attends a special school. She's very happy and content with her most of the time. Also at home is my husband and my two sons, and they're 13 and 14. So as a parent carer, I've been quite lucky in terms of work so far, as I've always worked full time, thanks to having two very supportive employers. When Aoife was born, I had been with my employer at that time for 2 years, and it wasn't until Aoife was almost 2 years old when we noticed that she'd started to regress. So she'd been meeting all of her normal milestones up to that point, and we didn't know there was anything wrong. But at that stage, eye contact stopped. The first few words that she had developed had disappeared, and she stopped responding to your name or making, looking at us, or just ignoring people when they come into the room. So we contacted her health visitor at that point, which was almost 2, and a visit from the health visitor at that time confirmed that Aoife was displaying signs of autism, and she would make a referral into pediatrics. So from there, we've been to many, many health professionals, numerous reports and assessments, and the endless appointments. I think it's estimated like we have about 6 times the appointments of a typically development child, in a month that, we need time off work for. So, I have been very, very lucky in terms of having understanding employers to go to those appointments. So, but juggling all of this, with continuing to work full time wasn't and still isn't easy.
Mhm.
My husband works full time as well. I've also worked full time from home largely over the years, with maybe a few days in the office. And since COVID, my husband's had 3 days from home, which has been really, really helpful. Um, but I just think there isn't really a lot out there in terms of formal identification. We shouldn't have to rely on luck. That you know, I've stayed with the same employer for a long time, and really given up any professional development for my own career because of fear of maybe moving to another employer and not having that freedom and flexibility.
Yeah. And I know you
So
said that you've been
that's
very lucky with your employer, but what does that look like? What has your employer done or put into place that's made life easier for you and meant that you can still work full time?
flexible working, suppose, is the main thing, that we have got 4 hours, but outside of that, I'm free to make up the time and work at any time of the day. And, my previous manager would have said, just you need to go to an appointment. I trust you, just go on and make your time up later on in the day. And it's always been like that. And I do work really hard and and I've seen your post yesterday about overcompensating. Definitely do that a
Yeah.
lot. But I always make sure that my work's complete and that I've everything done, and there would never be really questioned on productivity or anything. And that does lead to a lot of working on and making sure that I do more.
Mhm. And what sector do you work in? If you could just, so everybody knows.
I am a statistician and data scientist, so I've always kind of worked in the IT sector, and I work in education sector.
Okay, fab, thank you. And what would you say are the three biggest skills, transferable skills from being a parent carer to employment for you?
For me, the top three would be, like, I was always fairly organized, but now I have to be. So time management. We have to balance caregiving responsibilities with everything else at home. So I can prioritize and allocate time efficiently and manage my schedule. And if I set aside time to do something, I have to do it in that time because there's no other time.
Yeah.
And if my child's coming home from school and I need to have something to finish, I will make sure that I manage my time well enough and prioritize, my tasks, that those are all done. The second one was probably resilience, because it's it's really demanding at home caring for somebody, and we have to adapt all the time to challenges that are thrown at us, and we don't know what's going to come next, and we just have to persevere. And I think we can use that skill in the workplace for navigating stress and setbacks, and it doesn't really, annoy me as much if something happens unexpectedly because I'm used to dealing with that.
Yeah.
I think another one would be the emotional intelligence, because I've seen so many things at home that are just, I think I take that to work, and can be very empathetic in conversations with people, and understanding that everybody has a life outside of work, and everybody has difficulties. Just because you're not a carer doesn't mean you haven't got other difficulties. So I do bring that sort of into work and actively listen, and you know help provide support for people, and it's enhanced my communication and understanding amongst my colleagues.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel that as well as a parent carer. I think I've got a level of understanding that I wouldn't have had
Yeah,
without the experience of raising my children. So I
yeah.
completely get that
You
as
definitely
well.
care. You care about people, and somebody comes in and tells you something that's happened to them. You'll not think, oh, what about the work? That just
No.
forget about the work. Of course, look after yourself, and I do
Yeah,
think before having children or before having Eva, might have been more focused on the work and what's going to happen and what needs to be done.
sure. But I think if we're addressing the people and we're supporting the people, the work will get done anyway, won't it? It's a
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, because everybody, if they feel supported, like I have felt supported, go out of their way to make sure that we don't let the team down and we do everything that we can.
yeah, and that teamwork. I think
Yeah,
did your colleagues know about your situation and things like that? Do they?
sure, they all do. They don't
Yeah,
stop talking about it.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Aye.
brilliant. And what would you
Can't
what?
not talk about it because it's always there. It's always, there's always something happening, so you're always mentioning it.
Yeah, yeah. But then are they able to support you as a team as well because they know what's going on?
Yes, definitely. I wouldn't try and struggle and keep it to myself. If something's happened and I haven't had a good night's sleep and I'm feeling a bit tired, and I can just say that, and it's fine.
Yeah, and I have to say, there's parent tired, and then there's parent carer tired, isn't there? I've
Yeah,
had both, and I think the exhaustion is seriously next level when you're raising a child with complex needs for sure through the night, through the day
definitely
and the
is.
night. Yeah.
24/7, I know.
Oh, it is. So what advice would you give to a manager if they're watching this video now and they've got parent carers in their team? And obviously this extends to caring outside of your own children, but my kind of passion, my experience comes from a parent carer space. So what advice would you give to managers who really want to support their parent carers better?
Mhm. Well, I think in terms of direct line managers who may not have, power to implement organizational wide strategies, you know, creating a culture of support within teams. So, fostering a culture that values and recognizes cares, parent cares, and encourage, open conversations, and, don't shut people down when they're talking about their care and responsibilities, actively listen and provide support. I think for the wider workplace, having a care policy or framework in place is really important. I've had one employer who did have that, or were in the process of setting that up. Um, I left before it actually got going, but they had definitely recognised that there needed to be a carers forum and there needed a policy, and they brought in uh, representatives from Cares and and they were there to help us guide that policy and framework. But I think offering, within a carers policy, clear guidelines, support care, so it's not just down to the managers to decide I'm going to do this, that they're also supported to create that culture. And having a well-defined care policy would ensure that we do get everyone gets equal and the necessary assistance and flexibility, flexible working, and having those flexible working arrangements in place so that it would accommodate appointments, and we don't have to use our annual leave and take half days to attend necessary appointments. So having adjusted hours and remote work options, and maybe compressed work weeks. I used to do a compressed work week, which was really brilliant because we took a Wednesday. So I'd always try to keep my appointments to a Wednesday if possible, so that I could just
Yeah.
have it all on that day. So we work 4 days compressed hours, so could work on a wee bit later each day to have a day off. You know, having carers leave, and just really empowering managers, training managers to understand and support us, and you know, to sort of teach everybody about the transferable skills and what we bring to the workplace, and that it's not always going to be a burden that, oh, this person's going to take time off, and you know, when it's not, that's not the case.
Yeah, I definitely think it's easier and almost just more obvious to think about the challenges that parent carers bring to the workplace, you know, and the inconveniences, which I think is one of
Yeah,
the reasons parent carers don't speak up as much as they want to, is because they don't want to be perceived as a pain, when, like you say, we're very keen to go above and beyond and pay those hours back and make sure we're not letting people down.
yeah.
So yeah, I love that as well. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I guess finally, any kind of best practice? Have you got any managers that stand out as being really excellent with you?
I'd have to call out my manager in Allstate, Steve. He was brilliant, always supportive, and I don't work there anymore, but I was there for 11 years, and I was, I never had any problem. Like, it was, you know, you go to your appointments, it's fine, and always asking about Aoife, like every conversation, how's Aoife, how's things going? And you would think I had no other children, it's terrible. It's Aoife, and you know, always letting me rant and vent, and I definitely, and you know, with Ulster always had the carers forum, also trying to put that in place as well. So as an organisation as well, Allstate and I were very, very supportive.
Amazing.
So I think they do stand out in terms of care support, but also other employee resource groups. You know, they do recognise bringing your whole self to work, and that's to everybody, not just parent care. So, you know, I think they do stand out for me as a best practice organisation.
Amazing. Great to have a shout out for them as well then. Well, thank you for your time. I massively appreciate it. I know your daughter's not feeling very well today, so I shall let you get back to her. But thank you so much for your insights. It's really, really, you know, important now our voices are heard. And it's not just me sharing my own experience. I was really keen to kind of get everything on board as well. So thank you for your
Okay, thank
time.
you so much, Charlie. Lovely to meet you too.